Okay, so we're going to start with grammar in page 79, on page 79. So go ahead and turn to page 79. Okay, let me lighten that a little bit. All right. Today, we're talking about interjections. And by the way, there's another Schoolhouse Rock video. I'm going to try to post it on the Google Classroom. It's actually one of my favorite ones. Have you guys seen it? Interjection? You have, Ryan? Okay. How about you, Brody? No. Okay. Again, it's old school. So, it's kind of completely different than what we're used to as far as animation now. But anyway, I'll share it with you just so you can see what it's like. And it's catchy, you'll sing it in your head once you hear it a few times. Anyway, an interjection expresses an emotion. It's pretty easy to find. Like, wow, he hit the bullseye. When the interjection expresses a strong emotion, use an exclamation mark. Capitalize the word that follows the exclamation mark. That's pretty simple. Here we have more like a, he still has one arrow. So when an interjection does not express a strong emotion like this one, he's just kind of thinking, use a comma. Do not capitalize the word that follows the comma. I mean, that's pretty much a no-brainer there. Capitalization, and this is just talking about when it's the first word in the sentence. So this is pretty easy. I think you guys would be able to spot this pretty well. It could be like, whoa, or watch out, or wow, or some kind of a expression like that. And then you're just going to write INT for interjection above the word. And here we have yikes. Yikes, he killed the king's deer. So yikes is the interjection. And then of course, after the exclamation point, anytime we have an end mark, you have the next letter, a capital. So that's easy to remember. We also have imperative sentence. So that's implied subject. So this one's a little bit trickier, but I think once you see the pattern, it'll get easier for you to see. Every verb has a subject. We already know that. Subject, verb pair. A noun or a pronoun that performs the verb action. And then, however, the imperative sentence does not have a written subject. Rather, the subject is implied. Because commands are always directed toward someone or something, the subject of an imperative sentence is always you. So here's the trick. So read the sentence and look for the verb first. That's how you find it. And then ask who or what is doing the verb. That tells us the subject, right? If the sentence forms a command, the subject is you. So if you don't see a who or a what, as far as what the verb is connected to, then you know it's imperative, it's implied. So write you in parentheses to show the subject, write V above the verb and S above you. So without it, it just says step up to the mark. And it's implied that it's talking about you because it's a command, right? It's telling the reader to step up to the mark, or telling the person in the story who's not named, you step up to the mark. Okay, so the more you practice that, it'll get easier for you. Go ahead and turn the page to page 80. I know we've talked about homophones before. Here's another one we're going to look for this time. A homophone is a word that sounds like another word, but is spelled differently and has a different meaning. Correctly use the homophones whose and whose. It's pretty easy. I mean, you see the apostrophe and you know it's who is, right? And if you don't see the apostrophe, it's a question whose. Whose is a possessive pronoun. Whose arrow. The arrow belongs to whom. The relative pronoun whose functions as a possessive adjective and begins a who-which clause. Whose, with the apostrophe, is a contraction. Who's tired? Who is tired? The contraction whose is a shortened form of who is. We already know that. And functions as the subject pronoun who and the verb is of the clause. So you're going to place a line through the incorrect homophone and write it correctly above it. So here's your sentence. Whose bow is this? Who's ready to shoot next? So basically say it, if it has the apostrophe, try it. Who is bow is this? That doesn't even make sense. So it's the wrong one. Just draw a line through it and write the correct one above. And then who is ready to shoot next? That makes sense. So that's the correct word for that sentence. So pretty easy this week. Go ahead and turn to 81 and we'll get started on the practice. Brody, would you mind reading this one to us, please?
Go back, sir, demanded Robin rudely. The one who's the better man should cross first.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And we pretty much heard that, but your internet is being a little wonky again this morning. So who knows? Sometimes I always wonder, is it a cloud in the sky? What's affecting our internet these days? Who knows? All right, so good reading. Rudely is our vocabulary. That one is, we pretty much know what that means. To act rudely is to act in a rude manner, to be impolite. So go ahead and check your vocabulary up here. And then your articles. Go ahead and mark those. I know you know how to do that by yourself. 2 of them. And then we have one pronoun. So Ryan, where's our pronoun in this sentence?
Our pronoun would be sir.
Sir. Actually, that one is the noun. So your pronoun, actually, this is a tricky one, I have to say. The pronoun is one because they're talking about, remember, a pronoun takes the place of a noun. So the one who's the better man is taking a place of one of the soldiers or whoever they're talking about. So the one is the pronoun. That was kind of tricky because one is a word that can be an adjective. It can describe how many of something. And it could be a pronoun like in this sentence here. So that was a tricky one. All right. How about Ryan? How about the nouns?
Sir.
Yes, good.
Robin.
Yep.
And first.
That's a good guess, but first is actually an adverb because it's telling which one or in what order. So it would actually be man would be the other noun right here. Okay. Adverbs, Brody. And by the way, I just kind of gave away this one. So it's telling when actually, so cross first. When does he cross? He crosses first. So that's the adverb that goes with that. So what's the other adverb? Brody?
Rudely.
Yeah, rudely. And then there's one more. This is a hard one too. Say it again.
No, whose?
No, not whose. It's actually back. Go back. So if you look at the verb go and you ask where, go back. So back is actually the adverb here. So the best way to find those, and they're kind of tricky in these sentences here, but is to look for the verb first and then look for the word that tells more about the verb. So in that instance, go where, go back, sir. Okay. We're moving on to the who, which clause now. So Ryan, back to you on that. What's the who, which clause?
That would be who. Whose.
Whose, correct. And then where does it end?
Who's the better man?
Good, yes, because it ends with a noun. So who's the better man? And since we're looking at this, we might as well fix this homophone here because this is not correct. It should be who is the better man, right? So how should we spell it, Ryan?
WHO apostrophe S.
Yes. So it should be the contraction whose for that part of the sentence. Who is the better man? Good. So we can check homophone and who, which clause here. All right, we got some main clauses. Remember, main clauses have a subject and verb. And so there's a few of them here. There's 3. So let's just start from the beginning. Brody, do you see the first main clause?
Go back, sir.
Yes. And what I want you to do is use a bracket here. But then I want you to leave a space here because this is that part where you're missing the you. Ryan, I think you're singing. It's cute, but a little distracting. The imperative sentence. So when it says go back, sir, who is he addressing there? Who is the subject in that sentence? It's not there.
Sir is a subject.
Sir is the noun, but who are they talking? It's actually you. We're going to put in parentheses here, you.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's one of those imperative sentences where it's invisible. You don't see it there, but it's a command to the person that he's talking to, even though sir is the noun in that sentence. Oh, sorry. You know what? I messed up. The end of the main clause goes there. You go back. You go back. So the verb is go and the subject is you. And that is the first main clause. The subject of an imperative sentence is always you. Okay. All right, moving on. Next main clause. Ryan, do you know where the next main clause is?
Demanded Robin rudely.
Yes, very good. Demanded Robin rudely. So Ryan, what is the verb in that clause?
Rudely.
That's the adverb. It's already labeled there. So what's the verb?
Demanded.
Yes, there you go. Demanded. And then if you ask who demanded, who's the subject?
Robin.
Yes, good. Okay, back to Brody. There's one more main clause. Can you identify that one?
The ones who's the better man should cross first.
Yes, excellent. All right, so we've got a couple of, because we've got our own whose clause in here that also has a subject verb pair. And then in the main clause, we do too. So let's look toward the end of this sentence. There's actually 2 verbs here. Do you know what the 2 verbs are?
Cross and should.
Yeah, you're right. Should cross. Those are the 2 verbs together. Should is more of a helping verb, and cross is the action verb. So what if we ask ourselves who should cross? Who's the subject?
The man.
Okay, the man, but this one is within a who clause. So we're looking back here.
Oh, so the one.
The one, there you go. Which is the pronoun and the subject. Okay, so Ryan, now look into this whose clause. We have a verb and a subject in there, and that one's a little tricky. Do you know what it is? The verb?
The verb is better.
Actually, the verb is better is an adjective. I was just looking up here to see if it asks us. It doesn't ask us to mark an adjective. They forgot to put that in there. Because better man tells what kind of man. Let's just go ahead and mark it anyway. It should be adjective. It tells what kind of man. So whose is the verb. So we're going to put the V right above the apostrophe S. And then who is the subject. So it's one of those that has the subject and verb together. Michaela is coming in. Okay. I think we got all the main clauses. We got 4 subject verb pairs. We needed some capitals. So go here where it says go. That needs to be a capital. Robin. And that's it. We need a comma in here. Hi, Michaela. I'm glad you made it.
I sorry I'm late. I accidentally overslept.
Oh, it's okay. I'm sure you're still recovering from that yucky stuff you had. Yeah. I recorded this so you can, if you need to go back, you can watch the beginning part of class. We're on page 81 right now. So, okie doke. Comma. Anybody know where the comma should go in this? Okay, go ahead, Ryan.
Are we taking out the comma?
Actually, we're putting in a comma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need to put one in.
After man.
No, not after man. Look at the command here. Go back, sir. It's in that part. You know where it would go?
Would it be after you?
No, because that's invisible. Remember, that's not really there. So the actual sentence starts here. So go back, comma, sir. This is where it goes right here.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're addressing, it's a little weird because you add the word you there because that's the subject because it's a command, but then they also have sir with it, which is also connected to you. So it's a little confusing right there, but when you have a command like that, it has a comma usually after or right before whoever they're talking about in that sentence. All right, so that's the comma. And then of course the end mark is going to be a period at the end. All right, so rather than taking time in class to recopy that, that's done. So you have a lot to do with these sentences for your homework, but you're going to do pages 82, 83, and 84. By the way, next week and the week after is Christmas break, right? So we don't have classes or homework or anything. So what I recommend, this homework is not due until before class after the break, but please make sure to do it this week because I'm telling you, getting it done ahead of time and having that time off and not stressing over doing it is going to be so much better for you. So I recommend, I know it's Wednesday, but between this afternoon and the weekend, try to fit it in to do your homework so you don't have it at all during Christmas break. That's what I recommend. Okay. Technically, it's not due until January, but I just think you're better off getting it done sooner. Okay, so we're done with grammar. You can put that aside. Okay. Now, we finished the heart and the ox stall in the ox stall. So I have not had a chance to read all of your final copies yet. That's on Google Classroom, but that's my goal before the weekend to give you some feedback on that. So everything related to heart in the ox stall, you can put behind finished compositions in your binder. Okay, so keep the blue band word page in the front, and your pink page that has the ly adverbs, those still stay in the front, but move everything else like your keyword outline. Remember, it's this page or this tab right here called finished compositions. So you can move your original story of the heart and the ox stall, your keyword or your story sequence chart, and your final copy of your rough draft and your final copy. Everything goes back there. And then, like I said, these pages here, like your banned words list and your adverb list, I like to have you keep those up at the front. Because we'll be referring to those. I know there's a tab that talks about I think it's called Work in Process. I know that tab is in there. And I just like to have it at the very front of the binder so that you're not flipping through it. You can just open up the front cover and you're like, there you are, all the stuff you're working on currently. So keep these two in the front, and everything else goes back. Good job. Sounds like you guys did that. While you have your binders open, you will need the news story this week called, it's actually this page right here, 65. Let me get this out. It's called Hooded Pitahui is how you pronounce that, Pitahui. We're just going to look at this one today. I also, while you're there, I also want you to get out this yellow page, 63. Those two pages. I think that's it for today. Let me check here. You know those pages that have like, it's called overview, it has goals and it has suggested daily breakdown. Those can go behind your finished compositions too, so they're out of the way. You don't really need those in there, but you can fix all that later if you want to, that's fine. So we just need for today 63 and 65. Those are the two things we need today. All right. So just hang on to that for a second. I'm just going to talk to you for a little bit about what we're going to move into next. Just to recap, you know, when we started this class, Unit 1, we learned how to do the keyword outline where we took each sentence and we picked 3 keywords and we made that outline. That was what we did in the beginning. And then we moved into, and then we just practiced like retelling it verbally. Remember, I had you practice looking down and looking up and saying the sentence. Then we moved into doing the keyword outline and writing the story. Then we did the story sequence chart. That was Unit 3 with a story sequence chart. We are now moving into Unit 4, which is more of an academic report. So we're moving away from the creative writing and the fables and things like that. And now we're moving into more factual information and resources to put together a little report. And so we're going to look for facts. Now, instead of looking for keywords in the sentences or in our heads, now we're going to look for facts, which is real information about real subjects. So a lot of times when we do a report, and maybe you remember this, I wanted to show you, hopefully you can see it on my whiteboard here. Let's see if I can move that a little closer. When you read an article, sometimes there's, you know, a list of facts in the sentences, and there can be maybe 7 facts. Oh, by the way, you know the word summarize? Let's see if I can write it this way. Summarize. Have you guys heard that for a report before, like summarize what you read? And I don't know about you, but when I used to see that, that used to stress me out. Like, how in the world do you summarize what you read? Let's say you want to do a report on bugs in California or something like that. And, you know, we used to look it up in the encyclopedia, right? When I was a kid, I would look it up like beetles or mosquito eaters or something like that and look up information. And then I'd read a sentence and I'd be like trying to change a little bit of the sentence, but copy it down, and then read another sentence and change it and copy it down and read and change and copy it down. And then it was just silly. It felt like a waste of time, because if anybody wanted to learn about bugs, they should look it up for themselves in the encyclopedia. Why am I copying all this onto another piece of paper? So, but when you look up information like that, a lot of times there's a lot of facts. Like there could be, you know, 20 facts in a paragraph about something. And how do you know how to summarize that when there's so much information? So what I like to do is find 7. That's a good number of facts. You know, if we can focus on 7 facts, that would be doable, right? That wouldn't be so overwhelming. So if I'm reading an article that has 7 facts and I need 7 facts, that's pretty easy, right? That lines up. But what if I read an article and there's 10 facts and I have to narrow it down to 7 facts? That would be a little bit trickier to choose. But like I said, what if the article has 30 facts? I'm making like this little funnel shape here, and I have to narrow it down to 7. That's going to be kind of tricky to do. How do I know what 7 to choose? So that's what we're going to be talking about in this class. It's a little difficult to narrow it down, but I'm going to make it to where it's actually not intimidating, not overwhelming. It actually will free you up to be able to do this. You're going to have reports in high school too. So you can use what you learn in my class in wherever you go for high school and beyond. This is really great information to help you do that. So summarize, we used to think of sum is a math word, right? Which means the total of something, like an addition problem. It's the total. And so that's partly why it's frustrating how they spell this word summarize, because it feels like you got to have the total facts. But really, the way this word should be spelled is S-O-M-E, rise. Actually, I'll put an S here. Whoops. Oh, I'm making a mess. Summarize. So sum is what I put here. I don't know if you can see that, but some information, not all total information, some information. Okay, so how do we figure out what information to choose? We have some choices. We can either pick the information that's interesting, or we can pick information that we feel is important, or we can pick information that is relevant. So we have a couple of choices on how we find the information that we need in the report. And as we read this story here, that's going to be about a bird, a poisonous bird. I didn't even know they existed. But you're going to find a lot of facts in here, and you get to choose the facts that you think is either interesting, important, or relevant. And so when you're looking at those facts, I'm going to show you how to keep track of that and how to formulate that into an outline for you to be able to use for your writing. Okay. Let's see. Any questions so far about what I've said? You guys good? Okay. Let's go ahead and look at page 63 really quick here, that yellow page. It basically summarizes what I just talked about. So we have here keywords from facts. We're going to learn how to do that. And you're going to choose 5 to 7 facts. We're going to focus on 7 facts today. And then you still have your 3 words maximum. This is for your outline, because the outline format, the actual way it's set up is a little bit different, but it's similar. So you'll be able to recognize that, but you want to still follow the same rules, only 3 words on each line. And then you can use numbers and symbols and abbreviations for free, same rules there. And then there's 1 topic per paragraph. And we'll talk more about that. But here's something I wanted you to see. This is how we're going to set up our outline now. We already did keyword outlines. We already did story sequence chart. This one's now, this is the topic fact outline here, and they call it topic clincher rules. So there is a rule about this. Okay. So, and by the way, in this program, this might seem a little silly, but there's a little hand motion and a little chant that you say to help you remember how this works. So I'll tell you about it first, and then we'll practice it together. But basically that Roman numeral 1, that's what that represents. You have your topic sentence. So these are going to have your 3 words with numbers and symbols if you have them for your topic, what you're writing about. So it could be interesting insects in California or something like that. So you would put something like interesting insects, California. That would be your 3 words for your topic sentence when you go to do your writing. And then you have 1 to 7. We put parentheses around 7 just in case you don't have a total of 7, but we will use 7 for this next thing that we're going to work on here. And then you'll see that word clincher. And we used to call it a conclusion sentence. And I'm sure you've heard that before. And basically you conclude by wrapping up what you're talking about. But this is a better word to describe that. And it's more of what we're looking for in this class, a clincher, something that grips the reader, right? That really leaves them with, wow, that was really impactful. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to wrap up those paragraphs, but make it impactful for the reader. Okay, so this is how the little saying goes. It says repeat or reflect 2 to 3 key words. And that is what we're going to do here between your topic sentence and your clincher. Now we kind of do this for our title, right? The very last sentence of our writing reflects the title. Kind of the same concept, 2 to 3 key words that are either repeated or reflected. I'm going to explain what that means in a minute. But I want you guys to, and you can stay muted, but I want to be able to see you do the hand motions. So it goes like this. It goes the topic sentence, so do that with your hands, the topic sentence and the clincher, move it down a little bit, and then you make a fist and you go must, and then use 2 fingers and say reflect or repeat or reflect 2 or 3 key, like you're turning a key, words, and you just hold out your hand like this. So let me show you one more time and do it with me. The topic sentence and the clincher sentence repeat or must, sorry, let me start over. And you guys say it too. I know you're doing the hand motions, but you have to say it too, okay? So the topic sentence and the clincher sentence must repeat or reflect 2 or 3 key words. Okay, try to say it with me one more time, okay? The topic sentence and the clincher sentence must repeat or reflect 2 or 3 key words. Okay, and the reason why we do the little silly hand motions with it is because in psychology, actually, if you have motions connected to what you're memorizing, your brain locks it in 2 different modes. And so it helps you remember it a little bit better. And that's true for like if you're studying for a constitution test or you're studying for some kind of a math test and you need to remember the formulas. If you have little hand motions that you do with what you're memorizing, just a little tip for you, it'll help you memorize better. Okay. All right. So that's a little thing that we'll be practicing as we do this. Now, go ahead and turn to page, get out your page 65. The hooded Pitahui, kind of a fun name. Hooded Pitahui. So just looking at this story, can somebody take a wild guess? How many facts do you think are going to be in this story? It's pretty short, but how many facts do you think we're going to find? Take a guess. You can just unmute and guess a number. What do you guys think? Take a wild guess. How many facts?
8.
Don't read it, just look at it. How many?
8.
8. Good guess. Anybody else want to guess?
11.
Maybe 10, 11. What do you think, Brody? How many facts do you think are in this story here?
Probably about 10.
Probably about 10. Okay, you guys are about right. there's really about 15 facts in here, even though it's a short story. So here's the thing. Some sentences can have more than one fact, okay? So as you're thinking about your outline that we're going to make together, it is okay to use more than one fact from one sentence, but put it on 2 different lines on your outline, because you're really trying to pay attention to facts, not sentences anymore, okay? So we're looking for information or facts in this story. Now, another thing I want to start teaching you is how to annotate as you read. Does anyone know what annotate means? Have you ever done that before or know what that means? No? Okay. So annotate means to take notes. And you can write on this. This is your binder. So you can put notes in the margin, and annotate also means like underlining things. So what I want you to do is in the margin here, whenever you see, you can do one of 2 things. Whenever you see a fact that you think is interesting or important or relevant, then I want you to put a little check mark in the margin, or you can underline it, whatever is what connects with you, okay? So I want you to, as we're reading, look for those. And remember, we're going to have 7. So you can kind of pick and choose what 7 that you like from this passage here, okay, this story. Or it's not a story, it's an article, basically. Okay. Let me check my notes here. Let's see. Okay. And we're going to talk more about that clincher sentence, this, because that's pretty cool. I'll show you how that works, but I'm going to go ahead and read this story. And like I said, as we go, feel free to put a check mark in the margin or underline the facts that you find interesting. So you're going to decide, we're going to rewrite this article, okay? And it's going to be about the hooded Pitahui. And you can decide what angle you want to take in this writing, but look for the interesting facts or the relevant facts or the important facts that you find in here. Okay. Let me get started. I'm turning the page here. All right. The hooded Pitahui, is telling you there how to pronounce that, is the first poisonous bird ever discovered. The bird lives in the forests of New Guinea, where it is known as the rubbish bird. Part of the oriole family, this songbird is brightly colored with a red or orange belly belly and back, and a black hooded-like head. Okay, so in that last sentence, there's a lot of facts in there. So if you like some of those facts, you think they're interesting or relevant, go ahead and underline them or put a check mark in the margin. It is a medium-sized bird averaging about 9 inches in length. In 1989, a researcher was assisting a hooded Pitahui caught in a mesh trap. Its claws scratched the man and his skin grew numb. He licked the cuts and his tongue grew numb too. Tests showed the bird's feathers and skin were poisonous. While the hooded Pitahui primarily eats fruit, it also consumes various insects, and it probably gets its toxicity from eating coracine beetles. The poison is a batrachotoxin. Oh goodness. Hold on, I gotta look that one up. I can't remember how to say that one. batrachotoxin. Here we go.
Batrachotoxin or batrachotoxin.
Batrachotoxin. There we go. Oh, did you have it I thought your hand was up.
Batrachotoxin or batrachotoxin.
Batrachotoxin. I forgot how to say that. But that's basically a neurotoxin found in certain species of beetles, birds, and frogs. So it has a root word, batracho, that's Greek. Batracho means frog. And then toxin, of course, is poisonous. So that's where that word comes from. Similar to that of the poison dart frog, and it may serve to deter predators as well as protect the birds from parasites. Local natives know not to hunt or eat the pitahui. All right, so that is the article. Now there's a ton of information in there, probably about 15 facts. And we need to narrow it down to 7 that we want to use in our article that we're going to rewrite. This will be part of your homework, what we're going to do with this. So go ahead and get out a clean sheet of paper, lined paper, and I'm going to show you how to set this up. Okay, as usual, you know what to do here. Skip space, and it's called hooded pitahui, Hui. And we're going to put summarize, even though I don't like how that's spelled, it's better to put SOME, but summarize a reference. That's what we're learning to do, is summarize a reference. And you'll see there's more references that we're going to go over when we come back after Christmas break. But this is where we're going to start. Now, I want you to put Roman numeral 1, and then go ahead and write the word topic here. And then we're going to put a colon. And then you can go ahead and number 1 to 7. And then you're going to put the word clincher and a colon. Okay, that's the format for this new way of outlining now. And like I said, you're still only going to use 3 words per line, and you can use numbers and symbols for free on these. You're going to use commas between the words like we've been doing for your outline. So your topic sentence, that one's going to be about, obviously it's going to be about the hooded. Go ahead and put this in here. Hooded, comma, pitahui. And then you can decide the other word for that. You could put dangerous, interesting, poisonous, unusual, strange, deadly, any of those types of descriptive words as your topic sentence, or you can copy what I'm going to put. I'm going to put strange. And I can put something as my topic sentence could be, the hooded pitahui is a strange bird. And then I can go into why it's strange and what are the interesting facts about that. You could use other words in place of strange if you think of something different. Okay, now we're going to move into what we read starting at the beginning here. Did you get a chance to underline or put a check mark in the margin with some facts that you felt were interesting? Give me a nod if you did. Okay. And how about looking at the beginning of this article? Let's start with Brody. What is something that you found interesting at the beginning or relevant?
It was the first poisonous bird.
Okay, good. First poisonous bird. Exactly. Okay, good. How about Michaela? Did you find something toward the beginning there?
The bird lives in the forests of New Guinea.
Okay, good. How about Ryan? What did you find interesting?
It's brightly colored to warn people.
Okay, good. So now, awesome. I like that you each have something different. Maybe you had the same in some things and you just read something different. That's okay. But I want you right now to take a minute and just write down 3 words from the first fact that you found interesting or relevant or important for number 1. So go ahead and write those 3 words down. And I'm going to write mine down just so I have something to refer here to with you. I'm going to put forest, New Guinea. And I'm going to put rubbish. And I'm going to draw a bird. Remember, you can do symbols if you need to, known as the rubbish bird. But yours might be different than that. Okay, so you put down what you felt was interesting. So this is the cool thing. You can't go wrong with this because an article has facts. So it's not like you're going to go off on some tangent that's separate from this article. So here's the freedom of this. You get to decide what you want to pull from. You don't have to summarize all 15 facts. You can actually just choose. And then when you put it together in an article, your own article, it's going to be more manageable for you. All right. And the next fact, I want you to kind of go down the line here because we need to come up with 7. So as you look at your notes that you put on your page, go ahead and start filling in this outline with your 3 key words from the facts that you found interesting in the article or relevant or important. And then I'm going to do the same. So you can check what I'm putting down and compare it to what you have. It doesn't have to match mine exactly, okay? But you want to have 3 things on each of these lines. If you have any questions, just let me know, okay? Okay, go ahead and do that. I'll work on mine too. Okay. It's okay if you're not finished yet. I'll give you just a little bit more time, and then I have one more thing to go over before we go. Anybody have any questions as you're working through this with what you're reading or what you're putting down? Okay, Ryan.
Does New Guinea count as one?
So in mine, I put N dot New Guinea. So I abbreviated N or new. So I would recommend doing that. Then it's an abbreviation for free. So just put N dot Guinea. Okay. So let's see. Let's look down here at your regular number one, not the Roman numeral one, but the regular number one. Actually, let's look at number two, this one here. Because we already talked about number one. What do you have, Brody, for your number two? What 3 words do you have, or symbols and stuff?
I have red belly and 9 inches.
Good, nice. Okay, Ryan, what do you have for your number two?
Lives in Guinea, rubbish, and then I drew a bird.
Sweet. Okay, good. Good job. How about Michaela?
Heart, Oriole, family.
Okay, good. You guys are doing awesome. You know, when we first started class, you know, back in August or whenever it was, you know, it was kind of tricky for you to figure out keywords. Look at you guys now. You're just like, I got this. I can do this. So that's awesome. That's like the core of this class, is learning how to pull those words out. So you're doing great. I'm so happy and proud of you guys. All right. So if you're not done with those 7, it's okay. Don't stress over that. This will be what you work on for your homework. But I do want to talk to you about the clincher. So I'm going to give you an example. So I just want you to skip down a few lines down here. This is just going to be an example for you. And go ahead and put topic, sentence. Now, you don't have to use this sentence. Like I said, this is just an example for you. So an example of a topic sentence could be, and we're going to use our 3 words. So, and just use mine as an example. The hooded Pitahui. Oops, I spelled that wrong. There's an I there. And I'm going to skip a line. Is a strange, and I'm going to add, and dangerous bird. That's just an example. The hooded Pitahui is a strange and dangerous bird. And that could be my topic sentence. And then obviously I would go into all these facts that support it's a strange and dangerous bird. I'm going to explain why it's strange, why it's dangerous, and go into those details. Now, when I get down to the clincher, so go ahead and skip a couple lines and let's write clincher sentence. Now, remember, the rule was the topic sentence and the clincher sentence must repeat or reflect 2 or 3 key words, right? That's the little thing I need you guys to memorize. And it's on that yellow page to help you, and you must repeat or reflect. So we are going to repeat the name, the hooded Pitahui, but we also need to repeat or reflect one of these other words. So we could say something like, the hooded, and we can start with the same words, Pitahui, that's repeating, is, let's see, what could we say? Is an unusual bird. We could just keep it simple like that. The hooded Pitahui is an unusual bird. So we actually repeated hoodie, Pitahui, bird, and then we added a word that reflects unusual reflects strange, right? It's a synonym for strange. So basically what I want you to see is that you can underline strange and unusual. That's an example of reflecting. So you, even though it sounds like you're repeating like almost the exact same sentence, that's okay. That's what a clincher sentence does at the end of your paragraph. Okay, this is just one paragraph. So to tie it together, so when you come up with your topic sentence, I want you to think, when you get to the clincher, think of what words you want to repeat or reflect, 2 or 3 key words. So the key words, not just any word, like hooded pitatui, that's obviously a keyword, right? Bird is a keyword because that's telling what we're talking about. And then here, strange and unusual, that's where we reflected that keyword. So that's how you come up with your clincher. Now for your homework, I want you to just rewrite this one paragraph, okay? If you're not done with your outline yet, go ahead and finish that first. As you go back and look at your facts that you found, remember, you can only pick 7. Don't go past 7. That's where we're having to limit ourselves, right? And then write in all of your words for your 7 facts, and then go ahead and write in your 3 words for your clincher here. You should have 3 here too. Okay, so for mine, I would probably use hooded, pitahui, and unusual for my 3 words for my clincher. You guys have any questions about that? So your homework is your 3 pages in grammar, 82, 83, 84. And then you're going to finish this outline and rewrite the article in your own words, and make sure you guys double space. Hold on, let me check something here. I think you still have, I know I'm going over a little bit, the checklist. There's a checklist. So your checklist is on page 73 of your binder. I'll put it in the Google Classroom assignment. There's a new dress up, and it's a because clause, and we haven't really talked about that yet. So you don't have to worry about that yet in your first paragraph. But you do have the usual ly adverb, who, which clause, and strong verb that you need to underline and make sure to include in your paragraph. So page 73 is your checklist, but don't worry about the because clause yet, because I haven't taught that yet. So I will when we come back from Christmas. So if you guys don't have any more questions, Merry Christmas to you guys and Happy New Year. And I will see you in 2023. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.